Actress Natalie Wood was intoxicated and angry after an argument between her husband and actor Christopher Walken when she stormed off a yacht this weekend and apparently fell into the sea. The report said there was no evidence of foul play in the 43-year-old actress's death.
40 years, one haunting mystery has lingered over Hollywood, a question that just won't fade. It's been whispered in documentaries, scribbled into reports, and murmured during late-night interviews. And right in the middle of it all stands Robert Wagner, once admired for his class and charm, now forever marked by unanswered questions. A man caught between love, guilt, and the weight of suspicion that's followed him for decades. Now at 95, the glitz of fame is long gone, leaving behind only the truth he's carried since that cold night in 1981, the night that changed everything. It was Thanksgiving weekend, November 28, 1981, when Hollywood's golden couple, Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner, set sail on their yacht. What was meant to be a quiet romantic getaway near Catalina Island turned into something far more complicated. Along for the trip were Natalie's brainstorm co-star, Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain, Dennis Davern. For Natalie, the plan was simple: a relaxing weekend away from movie sets, cameras, and all the noise of fame. But instead, that weekend became the turning point that would shadow Wagner's entire life. The day began easy and full of laughter. Champagne glasses clinked, smiles lit up the deck, and a few cheerful photos were snapped before dinner. Locals even remembered seeing the group at Doug's Harbor Reef restaurant, laughing, raising glasses, and celebrating friendship. But as the night went on and the drinks kept flowing, something in the air shifted. The joy started to fade, replaced by an uneasy tension that no one could quite explain, a tension that still echoes through Hollywood to this very day. Christopher Walken later revealed that the conversation that night took a serious turn. They began talking about Natalie's career, how she was ready to return to powerful dramatic roles. That's when, according to Walken, Robert Wagner's jealousy started to surface. In his 2008 memoir, Pieces of My Heart, Wagner even confessed that jealousy had always been both the best and worst part of him. When the group returned to the yacht around 10 p.m., everything had shifted. The laughter from earlier was gone. The captain remembered that the cheerful mood had vanished, replaced by uneasy whispers and long, tense silences. Soon, those silences broke into raised voices. Dennis Davern, the yacht's captain, claimed that Wagner suddenly slammed a wine bottle on the table, glass splintering across the cabin, and began shouting at Natalie, accusing her of being too close to Walken. His voice, normally calm and smooth, trembled with raw frustration. Walken tried to step in and cool things down, but when it didn't work, he quietly slipped away to his cabin, leaving the couple alone. Moments later, the yacht fell silent again, a silence that would soon turn into fear. Not long after, Natalie was nowhere to be found. Wagner said he thought she had gone to her room, but when he checked and realized she wasn't there, panic started to rise. The yacht's small inflatable dinghy used to reach the shore was also missing. But those who knew Natalie said she was always uneasy around deep water. The idea that she'd take that small boat alone, barefoot and wearing only her nightgown, didn't make sense to anyone. When the sun rose on November 29th, the truth finally appeared, and it shocked everyone. Natalie Wood's body was discovered floating in the water just a mile away from the yacht. She was only 43. She was found wearing a thin nightgown, socks, and a red jacket, clothing far too light for such a freezing night. The coroner labeled it an accident, but her bruises on her arms and legs, the light marks on her neck, and her lifelong fear of deep water made people question that conclusion. Something didn't add up. Hollywood went quiet, at least in public. But behind closed doors, the whispers never stopped. Words like jealousy, anger, and regret began circling, and those shadows would trail Robert Wagner for the rest of his life. In the days following Natalie's passing, investigators scrambled to put together a version of the story that sounded neat and simple, one that wouldn't stir more scandal. According to Wagner, after his tense exchange with Christopher Walken, Natalie had gone to her room for the night. Later, he claimed she must have gone out to adjust the yacht's small dinghy after hearing it bump against the hull. But that explanation raised even more questions that still haven't faded decades later. Wagner maintained that she must have accidentally fallen into the water while trying to handle the dinghy. For a while, that story seemed to calm the public, at least on the surface. But as more pieces of information began to emerge, the calm started to crack. Then came the medical report, and everything grew even more unsettling. Natalie's system showed a 0.14% alcohol level, along with traces of motion sickness and mild pain medicine, a mix that could easily make her feel lightheaded or unsteady. But what really caught investigators' attention were the bruises, fresh marks on her arms and legs and face that raised serious questions. These details hinted that something physical may have happened before she ever entered the water. That revelation completely changed how people saw the case. In 2013, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office reopened the investigation and released a new report. Their updated findings stated that Natalie's injuries appeared to have occurred before she went into the water, a detail that shattered the old version of events and sparked even deeper speculation. Then came a chilling twist: new witnesses. Marilyn Wayne and John Payne, who were anchored nearby on their own boat, reported hearing a woman's voice crying out for nearly 15 minutes. According to Wayne, the voice screamed, "Help me! Someone, please help me!" She described the voice as desperate, terrified, and unforgettable. But no one ever came for her. The night fell silent once more, cold, still, and heavy with unanswered questions. Over the decades, Robert Wagner's version of what happened that night shifted, sometimes slightly, sometimes dramatically. Back in 1981, he told investigators that Natalie had simply disappeared. Later, he said she went out to tie up the dinghy. And by the time he wrote his 2008 memoir, Pieces of My Heart, he described the whole event as a tragic accident. But detectives weren't convinced. As Lieutenant John Carina from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department said in 2018, he's constantly changed his story a little bit, and his version of events just doesn't add up. Those words echoed what so many had already started to believe. By 2012, the official cause of Natalie's death was updated to drowning and other undetermined factors. Detectives even named Wagner as a person of interest, explaining that his timeline simply didn't make sense. But without physical evidence or direct witnesses, no charges could be filed. The case stayed frozen, suspended between heartbreak and suspicion. For investigators, the truth always seemed just out of reach, slipping further away with every passing year. For Wagner, it became a silent weight he couldn't shake, a shadow that no interview, apology, or denial could ever erase. But one person refused to let the mystery fade: Natalie's younger sister, Lana Wood. While Robert Wagner retreated from the spotlight, Lana stepped forward with fierce determination. Her mission? Justice for her sister. Lana didn't hold back. She made a bold and emotional accusation that reignited Hollywood's oldest mystery. She claimed that Wagner's jealousy that night spiraled out of control and turned dangerous. Even more shocking, she said that Captain Dennis Davern later confessed to her that he had kept quiet to protect Wagner. Her words sparked a storm that Hollywood thought had long since faded away. According to Lana, Captain Davern told her that Wagner had shouted in frustration. Then there was a sudden loud bang that broke the silence. She alleged that Wagner gave chilling instructions right after. "Don't turn on the lights. Don't call anyone." That statement alone shook Hollywood to its core. Some people believed Lana completely, convinced she was the only one brave enough to chase the truth others were too scared to touch. Others said she was simply a heartbroken sister searching for answers that could never bring peace. But no matter which side people took, there was one thing everyone could agree on. Her determination forced the case back into the public eye. Her relentless push made the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopen the investigation in 2011. New witnesses came forward and old memories suddenly resurfaced. One fisherman, who was just 17 at the time, said he remembered hearing a woman's panicked cries echoing across the dark water that night. Another acquaintance from the 1960s recalled moments when Wagner's temper showed a different side of the man once seen as a polished Hollywood gentleman. Each new detail chipped away at the polished, picture-perfect version of events Wagner had stood by for so long. Then came 2022, and with it, a twist that no one saw coming. Authorities officially announced that Robert Wagner had been cleared of any direct involvement in Natalie Wood's death. All leads in the Natalie Wood case have been exhausted, read the official statement. Just like that, police declared the case closed. But for Lana Wood, that announcement didn't feel like closure, it felt like betrayal. She said, "If he truly loved my sister, why has he stayed silent instead of helping us find justice?" Her voice carried years of frustration, heartbreak, and determination that refused to fade away. Even now, Lana won't let go of her mission. She insists that Wagner knows more than he's ever revealed. He was the last person with her, she says, and that silence speaks louder than anything. Her words still echo through Hollywood, keeping the mystery alive while the rest of the industry tries to move forward. After Natalie's tragic death, Robert Wagner's entire world fell apart almost overnight. The man once seen as the definition of Hollywood class and sophistication suddenly became the center of non-stop speculation. His smooth, polished image, years in the making, shattered the moment news broke about Natalie's fate near Catalina Island. That night didn't just take away his wife, it destroyed the life he once knew. The public demanded answers. The media demanded someone to blame. Tabloids splashed his face across front pages with explosive headlines like "Cover-Up" and "Jealous Rage." Every interview, every question aimed at him carried one unspoken accusation. Did you have something to do with it, Wagner? The man who once owned every camera shot began avoiding them completely. Robert Wagner, once the face of Hollywood charm, started disappearing from public life. He canceled appearances, declined interviews, and quietly slipped away from the red carpets and glitzy events that once defined his world. Friends later said he had become a shadow of his former self, polite and composed when seen in public, but distant and weighed down behind closed doors. For years, he stayed silent, carrying the burden of rumors, regret, and sorrow. Then, in 2008, Wagner finally broke that silence with his memoir, Pieces of My Heart. It didn't read like a defense, it felt more like an emotional confession. "Not a day goes by that I don't think of Natalie," he wrote. "I loved her with all my heart, and losing her was the darkest moment of my life." His words hit deep, raw, and vulnerable, but not everyone was convinced. To some, Wagner sounded like a man trying to heal from a heartbreak that never mended. To others, it felt like he was trying to rewrite history and repair a reputation that had been shattered for decades. And when investigators reopened the case once more, all the old headlines came crashing back. Talk shows reignited the debate, tabloids tore through inconsistencies, and even law enforcement officers publicly questioned whether Wagner's story truly made sense. Every time he stayed silent, the public curiosity only grew stronger. The silence meant to protect him ended up fueling even more speculation. The man who once owned every camera shot began avoiding them completely. Robert Wagner, once the face of Hollywood charm, started disappearing from public life. He canceled appearances, declined interviews, and quietly slipped away from the red carpets and glitzy events that once defined his world. Friends later said he had become a shadow of his former self, polite and composed when seen in public, but distant and weighed down behind closed doors. For years, he stayed silent, carrying the burden of rumors, regret, and sorrow. Then, in 2008, Wagner finally broke that silence with his memoir, Pieces of My Heart. It didn't read like a defense, it felt more like an emotional confession. "Not a day goes by that I don't think of Natalie," he wrote. "I loved her with all my heart, and losing her was the darkest moment of my life." His words hit deep, raw, and vulnerable, but not everyone was convinced. To some, Wagner sounded like a man trying to heal from a heartbreak that never mended. To others, it felt like he was trying to rewrite history and repair a reputation that had been shattered for decades. And when investigators reopened the case once more, all the old headlines came crashing back. Talk shows reignited the debate, tabloids tore through inconsistencies, and even law enforcement officers publicly questioned whether Wagner's story truly made sense. Every time he stayed silent, the public curiosity only grew stronger. The silence meant to protect him ended up fueling even more speculation. For years, her father had stayed away from the spotlight. But Natasha Gregson Wagner's goal wasn't to stir up old controversies. Instead, she wanted to remind the world of the human side of her parents, the love, the heartbreak, and the raw emotions buried beneath decades of sensational headlines. Still, that shadow from 1981 never truly disappeared. The mystery continues to hang over everything, refusing to rest. "It's outrageous," Natasha said. "People created this story about my dad, but he loved my mom. He would have given his life for her." Her words came from a place of deep pain. She was only 11 when her mother passed, and the loss still lives inside her. Her last memory of Natalie was a hug before that final trip. She remembered the soft feel of her Angora sweater, the gentle scent of her perfume, and the chill that ran through her when she whispered, "Don't go." That moment stayed with her forever. But Natasha's compassion didn't silence the storm. Lana Wood refused to let the story rest. She continued to speak publicly, repeating her accusations against Wagner and sparking a painful feud that still hasn't faded. Families divided, fans took sides, and Hollywood stood frozen in uneasy silence, torn between loyalty, grief, and disbelief. Through all the interviews, accusations, and defenses, one heartbreaking truth remained crystal clear. Whether innocent or not, Robert Wagner has lived every single day since that night carrying the heavy absence of Natalie Wood. No matter how much time passed, that pain never left him. For Wagner, the real punishment was never the investigation, it was the silence that followed, the quiet that settled into his life, the one he could never escape. His body had grown weak, but his mind never stopped replaying that night, like an old film caught on a loop. Every word, every sound, every moment still haunted him. When Robert Wagner finally agreed to sit down for a recorded interview, his voice cracked under the weight of decades of silence. "It's outrageous," Natasha said. "People created this story about my dad, but he loved my mom. He would have given his life for her." When asked directly what really happened that night in November 1981, he hesitated for a long moment, then finally whispered, "After I argued with Chris, I went to find Natalie and she was gone. I thought she needed time alone. I should have gone after her. Maybe she'd still be here." His eyes filled with tears as he added softly, "I was the last man with her. I can't deny that. That single phrase, the last man with her, became something he carried like a lifelong burden. He repeated it often in his later years, his voice growing smaller each time, as if the words themselves drained him. Friends who visited said he rarely mentioned Hollywood anymore. The fame, the fortune, the films, none of it mattered anymore. Every conversation, no matter where it started, somehow found its way back to her, Natalie, the love he lost and the night that never let him rest. He refused to live near the ocean again. The sound of crashing waves, once peaceful, had become unbearable. Instead, Robert Wagner moved inland, surrounding himself with family photos, fading memories, and quiet rooms that always felt too empty for one man. His daughter Courtney described his days as peaceful but heavy. She said, every time he saw a photo of Mom, he'd go completely silent. You could feel the sadness fill the room. It never left him. To the outside world, Robert Wagner still looked every bit the Hollywood legend, polished, charming, smiling when cameras were around. But behind closed doors, he was a man forever carrying the weight of his past. He had become someone undone by love and guilt, haunted not just by what the world believed, but the memories he could never escape. Even at 95, the ocean still called to him, not with peace, but with echoes from that cold night so long ago. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of the waves, the faint whisper of her name, they followed him everywhere he went. In private notes later shared by his daughter Natasha, Wagner once wrote, "She was my compass, my direction. When she died, I lost all sense of where I was going." He lived a long life, but one permanently shadowed by the questions he could never answer. The sound of the water, the hours that went missing, the name he never stopped whispering, Natalie. Robert Wagner's final words didn't reveal guilt or innocence, only the crushing weight of regret. It was the kind of sorrow that no investigation, no interview, and no headline could ever truly erase. And here we are, decades later, still asking the same haunting question that refuses to fade. Was that night a heartbreaking accident? A moment of anger that spiraled too far? Or something caught in between? Only two people truly knew what happened out there on the dark waters, and one of them never returned. The rest of us are left with fragments, theories, and the echoes of a mystery that still chills Hollywood to this day. So what do you believe? Was Natalie Wood's passing a tragic accident, or the result of something far more complicated, fueled by emotion and jealousy? The ocean may guard its secrets forever, but the whispers surrounding that night will never stop. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story struck something in you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more untold Hollywood mysteries.